Hi class, my name is Shalini Sumasar. Today I will be talking about racial discrimination in the Nassau County real estate market. First off, I will discuss the actions that depict how racism is prevalent. Secondly, I will discuss the issues associated with racial discrimination in the real estate. Lastly, I will talk about how some advocates are trying to address the problem. In the 1960s, the Fair Housing Act was passed. After the Fair Housing Act was passed, individuals were protected from discrimination when they are renting, buying, or securing financing for any housing. However, totally eradicating discrimination in the real estate market wasn't totally efficient. Real estate agents would discriminate in a very friendly manner that is hardly noticeable to detect. One action that depicted housing discrimination included real estate agents informing Black and Latinos that there were no apartments in the neighborhood that is for rent or sale, whereas Caucasians were told that there are apartments in the neighborhood that is for rent or sale. This resulted in a big gap between the opportunities of Black and Latino versus Caucasian testers. Black and Latino testers didn't even account for half the amount of white testers that had opportunities to view the apartments to distinguish if it suit their needs. I believe this is important because Black and Latinos are told to relocate their housing searches to different neighborhoods that agents think would ideally be more affordable to them. From this point, I feel like Black and Latinos are being looked as if they are the subordinates. The majority views them as individuals lower in rank, status, or quality. Another action that depicted housing discrimination included Caucasians were given business cards almost a third more often than people of color. I feel like this is significant because if an individual is trying to do business with a real estate agent or any other employee from a company, it would be professional to give a business card with contact information. This will make it easier to access a telephone number or email address to continue conversations with the agent. It is an example of a symbolic gesture. In my opinion, it means we will remain in touch about our deal, also as in sealing the deal. But if not given a business card, I feel like it implies to the individual of not being considered or offered the deal. For example, when you go for a job interview, a business card is given to remain in touch about the application process if you're a top candidate for a particular job position, while others who are not a highly skilled candidate might not have received a business card. This model also relates to a process of buying a house or renting an apartment. Last but not least, sometimes the agents raises the prices and taxes on blacks and Latinos so they can get out of the Nassau County neighborhood. My parents has received this kind of treatment when searching for houses in the neighborhood. My father normally invests his money and wealth in housing property. When doing his housing search in the Garden City area, he said, I can't afford the tax and mortgage of the houses in the specific neighborhood. Furthermore, I've noticed that Garden City is predominantly a white neighborhood. Moreover, when you move through Garden City to Hempstead or more south, it's like a whole new world. It isn't predominantly white. There are numerous blacks and Latinos. My first semester here at Adelphi University, I attended an event that discussed housing in Long Island. The real estate agent explained how, at one particular time, there was a time when he remembered that they would raise the prices on Black and Latinos because they tried to avoid them having to afford housing in the neighborhood so they can assimilate somewhere else. So it actually does happen, even with the Fair Housing Act in place. I felt like this was terribly horrendous. Everyone should have an equal opportunity in where they want to assimilate. We all are human beings. According to the text, whites only racial discrimination in the Nassau County real estate market and in the public school system states 74% of the time an agent offered to show apartment to white testers. However, 33% of the time an agent offered to show apartments to black and Latino testers. Additionally, white testers were told of available apartments 93% of the time. Black and Latino testers were told of available apartments 53% of the time. Also, white testers were offered business cards 93% of the time, whereas Black and Latino testers were offered business cards 56% of the time. Last but not least, 2% of white testers were referred to a different area, but Black and Latino testers were referred to a different area 28% of the time. The difference between the percentages of white testers and Black Latinos depicts the unequal treatments and differences between race and ethnicities. In the beginning of the semester, I was asked, what role does race play in your life? At first, I said that the role of race has not played a part in my life, nor does it have affected my family or neighborhood. However, with what I've learned about race now and after learning about the insights of housing discrimination, race does play a prodigious part in my life. The role of race is anywhere and everywhere. It affects me because at first I thought my neighborhood was greatly diverse. However, there are many Indians that resides in my neighborhood than whites, black, and Latinos. I've also noticed when I travel to different parts of the city, it also contains predominantly one subculture. For example, Flushing and Chinatown contain many Chinese and Japanese individuals. Some parts in Long Island, such as Garden City and Middle Village, predominantly contains whites. Last but not least, in Brooklyn, I've noticed a predominant population of Black and Latinos. So I was actually growing up in a neighborhood that was not so diverse. The pie chart depicts races and ethnicities in Chinatown. As you can see, Asians are predominantly the main group. Due to racial segregation in Nassau County, Black and Latinos often live in poorer districts. The poorer districts had poor schools which Black and Latinos attended. One quote from the text: whites only racial discrimination in the Nassau County real estate market and in the public school system that stood out to me states several African American testers received abominable treatment upon entering Garden City public schools. Their presence invoked looks of disgust and downright rude behavior. This quote stood out to me because I was shocked that a structural institution that's supposed to be safe and a nurturing environment has faculty members that has an atrocious behavior. I believe that invoking looks of disgust can lower the self-esteem of the African American students. Thus, this does not provide an environment that is welcoming to all students. Also, I'm a student and have three siblings in school. I believe if we were treated like this, it would diminish our motivation to go to school. Thus, this would have a negative impact. Advocates implied that setting up contracts with Acorn to test every real estate agency in the county and hold them accountable for unlawful practices such as staring and racial discrimination can be a possible solution. Now, my question to you is, what actions and behaviors can you consider that will make the specific towns in Long Island and your own community other than Long Island more welcoming to a variety of race and ethnicities? Are there any community involvement activities that you have in mind that will associate the concept of Ubuntu in the neighborhoods that have controversies of housing discrimination? Thank you all for watching, and I hope you learned something compelling and new.